Welcome back to CodeSync. Till now, we created a new React project and we designed some list screen for our contacts. Now we are going to create a screen for adding contacts. Now we can start the designing part. We can go to the component where we already created for create contacts. Here we can import the required elements from the bootstrap. We can remove this div and we can start designing the form for contacts. In this form we'll have the three inputs for name and email and contact. We can get the form group and form control and form labels from the form element itself. For more details, you can go through once on the bootstrap documentation page. You can get a clear idea on this. First input in the form is for name, and that is obviously a text field. So we can add the type like text. Now code change is done for that input for name, and we can go back to the browser. Yeah, we are able to see the input, right? Now we can implement the same for the other two inputs as well. We can import few more elements from the bootstrap. That helps us to have all the input field in a row. We can have this input field inside the call element so that we can split the fields. And next what we can do, I can see more space, so I can change this VS Code settings so that it will be more aligned. Yeah, now we can copy the entire call view and duplicate this for two times so that we can modify for other two inputs. So one is for email and another one is for mobile number. So we can also change the type of the input, email and number. Below the input fields, we can add two buttons. One is to submit the form and one is to cancel the form. And here we are using button element from the bootstrap. We can do one more thing, or we can split the columns. So we need to have that all the inputs in a single row, so we can split the column equally. Now we can go back to the browser and check the changes. Oh, we missed one thing. We need to import the button tag from the React bootstrap. We need to import that. We can scroll to the top. Yes, we can do it here. Now once again we can go back to the browser and we can check the UI. Yeah, now we are able to see the buttons, right? We can add some space between the input and the buttons, so that I'm going to add some margin in the row. For that I'm going to use mb-3, so for that it can add some margin in between the buttons and that row. So mb3 is an basically bootstrap class. Yeah, now we are able to see the space between the button and the input, right? Now I'm going to add some design for the buttons. So the bootstrap button have so many variants. I'm going to use success for the create button and danger for the cancel button. And also we can add some space between the buttons. For that I'm going to use some bootstrap class mx2. This will give some space between the buttons. Yeah, here we can see the difference in the buttons, right? We can add some style for these titles. From the DOM we can modify the changes and we can implement there. I'm just changing the elements and we can add some style here. Seems like this is okay for me, so that I'm going to have these styles in my code. So I'm just going to copy this and going back to my code and open the index.css file. And here I'm going to create a class with the name of titles, and I can paste the styles what I copied from the browser, and I'm going to paste here. We can use the class inside the components where we used titles. Here I can change the element from h3 to label, and also I'm going to add a class name of titles. Now I'm going back to browser and I'm checking that. Now I feel reflected. Yeah, that works fine, and I'm also going to implement the same design in the all the places. Till now we created a design for listing the contacts and create form for the contacts. Hereafter what we are going to do, we are going to add the contacts, and we are going to list the contacts dynamically in the table.